I'm doing a video.
I'm gonna need you to leave, sir.
Why was the reasoning why you won't give me a pup cup?
We're not allowed to do pup cups.
Yes, you are. I come here 2-3 times a week, every week, and get a pup cup. Every time I come here.
We're not supposed to do pup cups. If they're doing it, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Do you not understand? It's just a little cup of whipped cream.
Sir, I need you to leave, please.
Why won't you give me a pup cup?
Because we do not do pup cups at this establishment.
Bullshit. Came here yesterday and got a pup cup.
Somebody hand me the phone, please. Call the police.
She's calling the police because I want a pup cup? Let's see what the police have to say because a person wants a pup cup? Seriously, you're calling the police because someone wants a pup cup. That's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely ridiculous. Cassopolis, Michigan. No, that's absolutely ridiculous. All you have to do is put some goddamn whipped cream in a cup, and so that my dog can have a pup cup. And I was paying for it. I asked to pay for it. You McDonald's people need to start. Like, come on now. It's a freaking pup cup. Arrogant McDonald's manager right there. Right there. Cassopolis, Michigan. I'm going to corporate with this. McDonald's doesn't support dogs, but you want me to round up to support the freaking kids every time I come here? It's a little bit of whipped cream in a cup, and I'm paying for it. It's a pup cup. Quit being so stubborn. Just give me a freaking pup cup. This could all be averted with a little bit of whipped cream in a cup for my dog. This is why America's going to people like you. We don't do pup cups. I come here 2-3 times a week and get a pup cup. Tell me I can't get a pup cup. Wait till you lose your job when I send this to corporate. I'm waiting till the police get here. Not much, man. It really didn't need to escalate like this, but I'm only recording for my safety and because of what they're doing. But I come here 2-3 times a week, almost every day, and I just asked. I was like, "Hey, I bring my dog because she gets excited every time I come to McDonald's because I get her a little pup cup." I literally asked if I can.
Let me just talk to you.
I literally just came up to the window. I was like, "Hey, can I pay for a pup cup, just a little cup of whipped cream?" And she's like, "No, we don't do that." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I came here yesterday and got a pup cup." I'm like, "What's the big deal? It's just a little whipped cream in a little cup." And she's sitting there making a big deal, saying, "We don't do pup cups. You need to leave. I want you to leave." I'm like, "Hold on, I'm going to pull up my phone." I'm like, "You guys are really refusing to give me a pup cup for 35 cents? That, it shouldn't be asking." She's like, "I'm calling the cops if you don't leave." I said, "Go ahead and call the cops because I want to document this because they're calling the cops on a customer, a paying customer that comes here regularly."
We're just out here to keep the peace.
That's what I want.
You said you were screaming at them and yelling at them and videotaping and...
I wasn't screaming or yelling. Arrogant McDonald's manager right there. Just give me a freaking pup cup. This is why America's going to people like you. I'm gonna send the video to corporate.
Is he good with you? He's good with me. Okay, man, you're banned. Find another place.
That's cool.
I don't know if
I won't come back here.
I'd appreciate that because I understand your part, but I don't want to see you being the aggressor and coming back.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Fist bump. All right.
Fist bump works.
Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers in Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
Just give me a pup cup. Welcome back, Greg. Do you want a pup cup?
Back for a pup cup. Yeah, I'm gonna get my pup cup.
Yeah, baby.
Give me my pup cup.
God damn, that was a lot for a 35-cent piece of ice cream or whipped cream or whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Do you believe we had to sit through 4 minutes and 50 seconds because that dude didn't get his pup cup? But I got my pup cup, Doug. Actually.
Yeah, what you got there, man?
It's return of the beer can.
Yeah.
Back. Yeah. It's a McFleshman's hot Let's see. It says low key hot. One of these hot water things. Yeah, I sound echoey, y'all. I don't know what happened when I left. Or y'all about to find out what happened when I left, but I don't know what happened to my sound.
Yeah, we're trying to sort this out. So how is it? The hop water or hop water? Yeah.
It's pretty good. These things are light. You know, Doug, they're light. They're like there's really nothing to them. They're refreshing. I can see them in between a beer. Yeah, they're okay. I'd rather have a pub cup though.
For 35 cents, why not? Right?
Actually, do you have to have the car, like the pup in the car, to get the pub cup?
I would think so.
So
Maybe
I can just roll up and order a pub cup and just take it for myself. Because who doesn't want like a little bit of whipped cream in your night?
Me, I'm not a huge whipped cream person, but I'm weird. So,
I mean, listen, it's not that huge. Remember, he said it's a small little cup, a little bit of whipped cream. It's not,
not a big deal.
Why didn't they just give the man his pub cup? Zach,
I think he just likes saying pub cup. I think that was the whole point of that exercise for him.
well, there was a lot of pub cup going on.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Beer cam. Look at that. It's back. So there it is. That's mine. What do you got today?
Well, I'm starting with a classic, since our guest is kind of a beer aficionado, more so than us even.
Just a touch.
Just a little bit. So what I grabbed was good old from Great Lakes Brewing, the Barrel Aged Blackout Stout. So
okay.
I haven't had the Blackout Stout in quite some time, and I found a barrel aged one when I was visiting my brother-in-law out in Ohio. So I thought I'd snag that while I was there.
I've never found anybody that says anything bad about that beer. So
yeah,
that's a classic beer.
Mm-hmm. Also, if you haven't, get your tickets. Barrel and Flow, folks.
Oh yeah. I'm glad Zach said Flavor Town there and not Pound Town, but that's another.
Yeah, well, that stupid Flavor Town Fieri beer or drink I had that a couple weeks ago, that was fucking terrible.
Well, and Pound Town is not much better.
Well, Pound Town is also the like a gas station quickie mart in England. You know that, right? I'm not kidding. That's their like 7-Eleven in Britain is Pound Town. So
that's better than the American version.
Yeah, Come and Go, which just got bought out, so they're not going to be called that anymore.
No, that goofy Pound Town song by that goofy lady, Sexy Red. What I'm talking about. But what is so?
All right. Yeah, this is always good. Trying to see what barrels aged it in. They didn't say. I like how this is in commemorates the infamous 2003 blackout that left some 55 million people completely without power. You remember that shit? Yeah. So, yeah, this is really, 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 really good. So very yummy, the boozy, classic stout flavors. Like I said, the regular one's excellent. So just having the barrel aged is really good. I think that was involved 2 girls. So no, thanks, Zach.
All right, Doug. So without further ado, it's time that I address my absence. And Doug, you heard the story fully. So what kind of trigger warnings do we need to have? Do we have to talk about here?
Some pleasant stuff if you're a little icky about body parts. If you're a little you get a little woozy when people are discussing things with their own health, because people are. And yeah, I think those are the major ones. There's nothing else that I can think of that would be something that would be a trigger. So that's what I would go with.
All right. That's Is that how it's supposed to look? That's interesting.
What's
That's
interesting is
supposed to
when you lean closer to the little your little microwave can, your sound sounds better. I don't know why. Maybe you just need to broadcast, bring your camera down.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah. So I think we're.
So this is called Southside. I want to drink it while I discuss with this, y'all. So you got better when I get on here. So it's really interesting, Doug, when one of us is the subject of. This is called Southside, Doug. It's before I get to my quick crazy news. It's London gin, lime, simple syrup, and a little mint.
Oh, so it's like a little cocktail in a can. That's cool.
Yeah. That little can and this little drink here was $5, so I'm not sure.
Well, hopefully it's good.
It's refreshing. It's boozy. It's more boozy than I thought it was. Sweet.
Yeah.
Kind of like lemonade-ish.
Okay, with the gin even.
Yeah, with the gin. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So really quick, y'all here, so we can get to our fun guest who's been to over 1,000 breweries in this wonderful country of ours. I've been missing for a while, y'all. And before Thanksgiving, so trigger warning, y'all. Here you go. Y'all asked for this story. Y'all gonna get it.
Yep.
So, I started having discomfort when I was peeing, y'all. That's where it all started back before Thanksgiving. It got progressively worse through the holidays. Thanksgiving, like right after Thanksgiving, I saw my primary. She said, basically put me through a whole bunch of tests and said, I don't know what's going on. We did the old STD test done, the old prostate things, blood tests, all that wonderful stuff. Nothing really came back. So they sent me to the urologist. Go to the urologist. I'm having a penis issue, y'all. It's burning when I pee. This urologist doesn't even look at my dick, dog. So that was interesting. And he said you have 3 choices. 1, a pill. 2, a pill that's going to make your pee go orange. 3, some surgery where we take a camera and basically put it down your penis to see what's wrong. So of course I took the first one, Doug, because that's just hope for the best and not go for the worst.
Yeah.
About a couple of weeks later, there was nothing going on. I called them. The doctor said, call me back in 2 weeks. I called him back in 2 weeks. I was like, nothing's going on, dude. This isn't working. And then the nurse was like, well, the doctor said you should be doing it for 30 days. So again, another 12 days go by. Nothing's working. So at some point, Doug, I have lost the ability to pee. It would not come out. So to go to the ER and get a catheter put in me. And these people told me to come back in 7 days. No. I was back in 2 days at the ER. I was going through pain so bad, Doug, that I could barely stand. So I take it to the ER. Get to the ER. They're like, more tests, this, that, and the other thing. Really didn't feel anything, didn't get anything done there. I mean, they eliminated some things, but nothing happened. So they at least pushed me a little bit further. My urology doctor saw that and said, hey, come in for a procedure next Friday. There's a procedure we could do that. We think that maybe your urethra is contracting, so we'll do something to widen that hole. So next Friday shows up. It's a snow day in Wisconsin. It was the day that we got like a foot of snow. Night before, my personal nurse who lives with me, told me that we should get out on the road early. Maybe because of snow, we'll get there early and hopefully everything will work out. So we did that. On the way to the hospital, Doug, they called us and said that they were canceling my appointment, meaning that I would have to wear this catheter over the next weekend, and it was still hurting me, bugging me. I couldn't sleep. It was this whole Xmas. So get to the week. She's screaming and hollering at people on the phone. Not screaming and hollering, but
I'm pleased.
yeah. And they got the impression, they're like, hold on, we'll try to do something. We'll call the doctor. We'll see what we can do. Y'all on the way, because we were like 10 minutes away, like especially right after they said they were trying to cancel. Long story short, get there, and I was able to get to this procedure, and this procedure was one of the worst things I've ever dealt with in my whole life. It was completely horrible. It was brutal, and there's really no shine in this turd. It was absolutely horrible. What they did, y'all, and here's the crazy part, is basically try to, no, not try to, they succeeded in widening the hole of my penis so that it wouldn't constrict. The problem is that these little metal rings that they literally shove in there after he was like, oh, we're going to numb this with that numbing shit that y'all know that doesn't work for the most part. So I was subjected to this 3 times, Doug. He went from, so my hole, y'all, was about 10 or 8, whatever they call, open. That's how wide it was open.
Millimeters,
This motherfucker proceeded to put 14, 18, and 22. And it was excruciatingly painful. It was horrifying. It was yell out loud painful. So that was that Friday. I recovered. 2 weeks later, it's trying to close again on me, dog. So the nurse lady and I did some things, read some things online, worked through some things. I'm not going to get into these details because y'all can imagine after I told you what was up, what it kind of entails for that. And I am coming to y'all pain-free for a week, feeling good. I'm able to get rid of my pee in a good way. And I think my recovery's good, Doug. So
good.
That's where I was, y'all.
Yeah, that is a very unpleasant sounding experience. I mean, we've and you tell them what you told me about the percentage of people this happens to, because that's the thing I think people need to hear.
Yeah, that's cool. So I was told, y'all, that this happens to random men at a certain age. The age is 50-ish. You know, they have a scale, Doug. You know what I mean? Like 45-ish. You know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know. But I thought the one that I think I saw was 50, over 55 or 55. I'm not over 55 yet, but in the 50 range, early 50s. It happens to possibly 45% of us. And that is a burning feeling, y'all. And that is you're not able to discharge as much pee as normal. If you see that, that is called, it could be called a urethral constriction. And the problem with it is, it's literally like the 7th or 8th thing that they check when you have burning pee. It's like they go down a series of, you know what I mean, Doug? It's this, it's this, it's this, it's UTI, it's this. And then ultimately, you know, urethral constriction is like, you know, y'all look it up. I know the thing. I know the term. The problem is that it's really, really traumatic.
I imagine so.
So then I kind of repressed the whole, like, knowing what exactly it is. But I can send it to you. I got documentation. You know what I mean? It's really, really painful, and it's out of the ordinary. And you know, it's funny because it's not anything that I did. It's just, you know, I was a male. That's what I did. So it's not one of those things where, you know, like we had our heart conditions and we're like, you know, well, that's because we didn't exercise, but that's because we ate like an idiot for like 45 years. Like, it's easier to, not easier, but it's, you know, always, it's something like, you know, okay, well, this is on me. Like, this is kind of random. So it's kind of like shit. Like, and I guess that happens with cancer and other things that, you know, other ailments that we go through. But it was just really startling when I had no son. I just wanted to share that because it does happen to random guys at a random at a certain age. And I felt that it was good for me to talk about that because we do have a lot of those guys at that random age.
Yes, we do.
Not random age, but you know what I mean. So
most of us are in that sort of age range. So yeah.
Yeah, shout out to y'all, and if y'all ever have this, y'all know how to get a hold of me if y'all need to talk about it or get some advice because I feel that I'm on the other side of it. So I'm really happy about that. Really happy that I'm feeling great. I'm back. So good times.
Yeah, good man. I'm glad you're back. Obviously we talk in the background on this, and you gave me the hey, I need to tell you about what happened. And then you didn't tell me for 2 weeks.
Right.
What's going on? So finally I'm like, hey, what do you need to tell me? And then you told me, and I'm like, holy shit. That just
yeah. Well, you're gonna ask for this twice because this is a doozy. So that's cool. Wanted to get that out. And I thank our guest who we're about to bring on for delaying his appearance a little bit. But he is a friend of mine, I can say now. We've corresponded and talked pretty heavily here in the past recently. His name is now I might butcher his last name. Do you know it, Doug? Can you butcher it?
My guess would be Geier, but that would be, and he's giving us a thumbs up in the background. So apparently I lucked out with that one. So woo-hoo.
Excellent. His name is Joel Geier. He is he's behind the brand Brewery Travels. Any of you people on Twitter, beer Twitter, he should be on your radar. You should be following him if you don't already. But you've probably seen either his podcast or his media that he puts up there. He has been to 1,000, I believe. Well, he'll actually tell us, but it's over 1,100 breweries in this country, 48 states. Over 1,000 breweries in 48 states. And he's going to, I believe, he's going to tell us that he's going to knock off the last two, Doug. And of course, I think you can guess what the last two are. I think everybody can guess what the last two are. I think he knocks them off this year. So he's going to have 50 states, over 1,000 breweries. Doug and I, we've visited a lot of breweries, but damn, not that many. So we'll get to talk to Joel here real quick about breweries, the scene, where he thinks it's at. And then we do have an announcement to make regarding Joel, so we'll do that too. And without further ado, I believe he's ready. We will introduce my friend, Joel Geier from Brewery Travels.
Hey guys, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How you doing, Joel?
Good. I'm grateful to be here. Excited to get to come on Greg's show because I don't know if he said it earlier, but Greg was on my podcast at one point earlier on when we were talking about the Madison beer scene.
Nice.
So it was that was a lot of fun. But yeah, this is great to be here. I love talking breweries, love talking traveling, and just beer in general. And here I saved the open the little ASMR there for you.
Yeah.
What do we got?
Well, we've just got the Vivo Pils, the Italian Pilsner from Brewing.
All right.
Technically, I mean, I'm sure most of it's being brewed in Muskego now, but I always am going to the one still in Milwaukee because it's it's like half the distance to my house rather than driving all the way out there. It's because I live on the north side. So, but yeah, no, I know this beer. I just figured that was a good place to start. But yeah.
Yeah, good. Cheers.
Yeah, Joel. So tell us, cheers to that. Tell us how you get the passion to visit over. Oh shoot, Joel. I forgot. I wanted you to send me one of these maps. Can you do it when we get a chance? Joel makes these wonderful maps. I like the one where the county map.
I'll just send you. I think I have all of them up here. I'll just send them to you just on Facebook Messenger.
Or you can share the screen if you want to. You can do that too. How did you get to a passion of ended up being at 1,000 breweries? Where does that start?
I mean that's a great question. First, I guess my dad was a craft beer drinker, and this was at a time living in rural Iowa and rural Wisconsin when it was not much in the way of craft beer, especially in the rural parts of the country. But he still always had his Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and Leinenkugel's Creamy Dark. And so he always had kind of the mindset of, you know, I'm not going to drink a lot of beer. If I'm going to drink a beer, I want to enjoy it. I want to, and so that kind of, you know, I guess rubbed off on me, I guess you could say. So, because I didn't really get into drinking beer until actually I turned 21. And at that point, when I could buy my own, I started dabbling in going to the grocery store with my college roommates, you know, every weekend, and they would get a 30 rack of whatever was on sale. And I would go and get a pick six or a variety pack because I was interested. I just thought it was really interesting to try all the different types of beer. And from there, we moved to Oregon. My wife and I got married right out of college, moved to Oregon. And from there, obviously, Oregon, you know, is a great place. At that point, that would have been 2015. So it was already, you know, had been years, obviously, that Oregon had been at the forefront of it. So coming in, like most places by 2015 already were starting to get there. But Oregon was obviously still ahead of the ball game. And I started visiting. I visited the breweries around Eugene where we were living. And then we moved to Milwaukee for both of us to start graduate school. And I think I had been to like, you know, maybe 24 or so breweries. And I was like, oh, you know, I like to collect things. You know, like I'm a collector. And so, you know, it's kind of like almost like I was like, you know, this is kind of neat. I should keep track of the breweries that I go to. And so I started a list, and that quickly became a spreadsheet that was sorted by state. And from there, it would have been early 2017 that I started my Twitter account. I think that's the updated one. Yeah, it looks like it. So yeah, that's a map of every county that I've been to a brewery in. So as you can see, there are 48 states that have red in them. Alaska and Hawaii are the final two. We are going to Hawaii next month and Alaska at the end of June. And at that point, I will have been to breweries in all 50 states. And if you go to my website, thebrewerytravels.com, actually, I think I need to update my numbers on there. But in theory, once I go and update it, I have a list of a breakdown of the number of breweries in each state I've been to. But anyway, back to what I was saying, that in 2017, I started the Brewery Travels Twitter account just for my own kind of fun of like just putting stuff out there. I wasn't expecting anything from it, really. It was just for my own kind of enjoyment. And then it was around that same time that my wife brought up the possibility of travel nursing. We were both in graduate school, but she had some travel nurses at her job, and she thought it sounded interesting. And the more we talked about it, the more we decided to go for it. And we spent 1 year traveling, living in 3 different places. We lived in New Hampshire, Nashville, Tennessee, and out in San Diego. And that really enabled me to kind of expand on the account, because all of a sudden I was visiting way more places, going to way more breweries. And so that I think that really helped kind of validate the fact that I was Brewery Travels, and I was no longer just a guy that had, you know, 70 brewery visits across 6 states. I quickly became, you know, a couple hundred across, you know, 20 states or whatever the case was. And then we moved home to have my now 5-year-old daughter, and 2.5 years, and we both finished graduate school. We had my son in March of 2021. And we had always kind of talked about being on the road again. Like, we missed it because we weren't expecting to only be on the road a year. We thought we were going to be longer, but of course, pregnancy, you know, that's just how it went.
That changes it up.
Yes. But we also weren't, you know, we had talked about the possibility of traveling with the kids before they really got into, you know, school age. I was a stay-at-home dad still at the time, you know, through the pandemic, and we just went for it. And my kids now have lived in, besides here in Wisconsin, they've lived in Baltimore, Maryland, Asheville, North Carolina, Seattle, Washington, Denver, Colorado, New Orleans, Louisiana, Ormond Beach, Florida, and Newark, New Jersey. So they have traveled. My kids after these 2 trips, my kids will be, I think, 5 states away from 50 staters. They've only just not done New England because we did that before we did kids. So, which we may do again in 2025. We've already discussed that. But anyway, basically, I can thank my wife for this. I always say that. My wife does not like beer. She does not drink beer or any type of alcohol. But it's through her traveling profession. She actually has worked remotely as a nurse practitioner for now almost 2 years. And so we've continued to travel even once she had her doctorate and got her job. But it's through her traveling profession and her support that I've been able to do this. Because obviously if she, I'm working on some things currently that is going to be able to bring in some money in regards to my brewery traveling stuff with some book stuff potentially and some other things. But she has obviously bankrolled this because it is not free to visit breweries. And so I have been very blessed with the opportunities and the means to do this. And so I am, like I am always very grateful for her and for her putting up with this. She has stopped at so many random breweries in the middle of nowhere to have lunch, or just not even have lunch, just stop to let me get out of the car for 20 minutes. Like that is a common occurrence on our road trips. So, and she also has often been the one to stay back with the kids in the hotel room, if I pop out to go visit a few on our road trips. But yeah, so I am, like I said, Brewery Travels wouldn't be around if it wasn't for a woman that does not like beer. So I guess that's, that's, I married well, I guess you could say.
That's awesome. That's good.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. What's up, Doug?
So you said you've moved. So I'm guessing you just do like short-term rental agreements around. It's not like you have like a home base and you go and stay.
Well, we do. So we've had a home base here in Milwaukee since 2016. So we bought a small starter home when we first moved here for grad school.
Okay.
And we kept that throughout there. And then we bought a new home. Funny enough, it's technically in a suburb, but we moved closer to downtown Milwaukee because of the way the weird city lines are. We actually moved slightly closer to downtown. But anyway, so we bought this house. So we've always had a home base here in the Milwaukee area, and that's always where we expected to raise our children. Like I said, we're now done. We just came back from Newark. My daughter started pre-K, 4K this past fall, and she's just doing the half day. So we went and did this last thing. But other than that, we kind of knew that this was going to be the end because we've always envisioned our daughter going to school here. So we never seriously considered doing the whole living on the road and homeschooling them, because I know that is an option, but that's not the decision that we decided to go with, long term. So,
well, you have to decide what works best for your kids, right? Like
exactly.
Some kids are good. Some kids are good at traveling, and your kids might be good at traveling, but they might also want to be able to have. All right, well, I have my friends here, and these are where all my friends are.
Yeah. She loves school and being around the kids. So she's a very, very, outgoing little girl. And that's what we've always wanted. We have a very good, close group of friends here in the neighborhood also that we live in now. And it's a blessing to be able to settle in. But we did love traveling, and our kids are very seasoned travelers. The number of cross-country road trips we actually did the month after my son was born in 2021. This was right when like the vaccine was coming out and like COVID was still like happening. Because we didn't want to get on a plane, we actually did a cross-country road trip from Wisconsin to California, down the coast of California and back, because both sets of my grandparents live out there, and we wanted them to be able to meet Bo because we didn't know when we'd get out there. So they have Bo, especially since birth. He has been on the road, going all over the place. So but they are happy to be home now, I'm sure too. So
Bo knows travel apparently. So
he does. He does.
Sorry.
Oh my God, Doug. That was so corny. It worked.
Oh, here. Well, and here's a little representation. This isn't the specific numbers, but this is a gradient map that I kind of use to showcase the darker the color, the more breweries I've been to in that state. You can typically kind of tell the states that I've lived in. Obviously the states surrounding Wisconsin, and then, places like Maryland, North Carolina, Florida, California, Washington, Colorado, all part of those kind of the darker categories. But yeah, so that's just kind of I enjoy doing these maps because I'm kind of a visual person. I enjoy the visualization. So it's something that I kind of do for fun, and I don't know if I'll implement them in the book or not, because those are one of the things for updating, but we'll see.
Yeah, I seem to see that the state of New York had one county that you hit.
It has two technically, or a couple. Well, because I've been to, so I went to breweries like around two breweries around Rochester. And then when we were living in Newark, I went to, hold on, I can pull up on my spreadsheet here. I went to at least one brewery in all 5 boroughs of New York City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're just so tiny down there. I do have a lot. New York, I would say, is up there in terms of the state that I would have the most to do in relation to the brewery scene. In terms of what I haven't done, I'm glad that I was finally able to get at least to New York City to get a lot of the stuff. Yes, I went to 15 breweries in New York City. So,
Okay.
not all of them, but also, a decent amount. I got to a lot of the big names, obviously. So I had a lot of amazing beers. I actually had New York City was my beer city of the year for large cities. During my annual review this past year, I give out 20 awards every year. Of varying things, and that was New York won that, and a lot of really good beer, especially in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and I will say that now that we know each other, you have an in to find more breweries in New York because I live in New York. So.
Yes.
Oh,
I see someone saw Velvet Hammer. Shout out to Velvet Hammer. I've talked about that as one of my most surprising beers I've ever had. So that was pretty early in my journey. If you are not familiar with that beer, it is an Imperial Red Ale that is a flagship beer for Pedicolis. Like that is their flagship beer, which I don't think I've been to another brewery that's flagship beer is an Imperial Red Ale because it will. I forget what the ABV is on it. I want to say it's like maybe
Jerry will know. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, Jerry. If you know the ABV, toss it up there because it's been a while. But I remember being like asking them because I often try to ask a brewery, "Hey, what are you guys best known for? Like, what should I try from you guys?" 9%. Yeah, I was underselling it, and I remember them saying this Velvet Hammer, this Imperial Red Ale, is one that I was like, all right, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's really good, and it does not drink like a 9% beer. It is a beer that I am sure more than the fair share of folks in Dallas have gotten caught up on because they're drinking it so quickly. They all of a sudden they realize that they drank 3 of them and they're like, oh no, because it was very delicious. And I know that's definitely a popular one down there.
Yeah, I think Jerry and our friend Jeff Tepper are big fans of Pedicolis. I think they both are big fans.
I've talked with the owner there too, because he was a lawyer and he helped get a lot of the laws in Texas more pro brewery. I know during his time, which I think I've been to a few breweries that have had lawyers as the owners, and they always seem to be the people that are like spearheading, obviously, changes to regulations and laws that breweries are having to overcome in a lot of these states.
Yeah. What's that beer you got going there on the merry-go-round there, Greg?
That is with all due respect, subpar IPA called Squeeze and Crush.
From whom?
It's your brewing project, which is a northern Wisconsin phenomenon.
Oh, clear.
And sorry, it's just not. So, Doug, we're going to recharge that. Do y'all have a second one where I prepare mine?
I do.
I have a second one, but I started after you guys, so I'm not there quite yet.
No, that's okay. You go at your own pace, dude. We're in no rush. So Greg mentioned that my favorite brewery is a local brewery near me called the North Brewery.
Yes.
So they actually did a collab with a brewery that just opened about a year ago near me. So we don't have. I live outside of Binghamton, so there's not a lot of breweries here. So they did a collaboration with Crooked Mouth Brewing, which is like not even a mile from where the North is, called Lunar King. They just released this. I went down and picked up today. It is a stout with vanilla and cocoa at 10% ABV. But one thing is the guy that owns the North was a graphic designer before he was a brewer. So his labels are usually pretty like this is simplistic, but this is really nice. And we didn't discuss this, but the can art and labels and shit like that, I am all about that. If you're going to invest time and money into a good label, I would like to think your beer is going to have as much investment. So yeah.
Beer in the microwave. Dog, wait till you see who this brewery is. You see?
Hold on. Oh, please tell me it's not Venture. Are you going to make me mad? Yes, it's Venture. You fucker. Look at how this pours, though. Holy moly.
It's stout night over at Doug's house.
Yeah, it is. And I have my last one's going to be from a brewery that I think Joel was probably at when he was in New York City. So
Have to see if I pass the test.
I'm pretty sure you passed. That's a pretty popular brewery because you mentioned Brooklyn. So
Yeah.
So not a lot of.
Go on, Doug.
I don't smell a lot of the vanilla or the cocoa on the nose much. A little bit in the vanilla, not much. It looks really good though. All right, so the vanilla's there, the cocoa not so much. It's actually just more really roasty, like surprisingly so. It's almost like porter style, like how roasty it is. So it's good. Don't get me wrong, but if you're expecting a stout, it's much more reminiscent of a porter than a stout to me for how roasty it is. But yeah, here's like when I don't know, Greg, can you show this bit where I'm looking at the crooked mouth? Is this one, the lower one there? It's like it almost looks like a kind of it's not a warthog. Yeah, it is. It's actually a warthog is kind of their emblem. So then the north is there up there. But and if I can get Joel to come my way, I will absolutely take him to the north.
I'm always down for brewery visits.
Yeah, the good thing about the North Brewery for me is that they don't have just like they only have like 5 or 6 taps at a time, but their taps rotate all the time. They make all different kinds of shit. It's not just here's 4 IPAs and a different beer. They'll make IPAs, but they make it's just 5 different styles of beer every time. So that's another thing I like about them. All right, Craig, make me jealous. Make me jealous.
That is Oktoberfest by Venture, which I brought in October, and it's crisp, wonderful, still going. Obviously, Marzens we can drink all year round, and I think you can keep them from one year to another. Actually, a good one I don't think generally degrades that fast. I would never try to age them, Doug, but at the same time, those are the ones that you can keep in the back of the refrigerator, in my opinion, and like kind of mess around. You can't mess around with IPAs, as you already know. And you can definitely mess around with stouts. That's stuff. He puts stouts in his cellar, Joel, for like 8 years and then comes back.
Not quite 8 years, but I do have one that's almost 6 years old. So yeah, maybe.
I'm not that far off, bro. Right. So this is a good one. It's still crisp. It's still really, really tasting really well. Obviously, Venture Brewery is one of Doug and I's favorites. It's one of the best
I love
in
Venture.
Milwaukee. It may be the best beer and coffee combination in a brewery. Joel is home base there, so we're going to compare notes. We're going to be comparing notes a lot soon because Joel, do you have your third? You have another one, and then
Second one.
we'll get to our announcement.
I've got Lakefront Brewery's Mexican Dark Lager here. I am so you were saying before it was stout night at Doug's. It's 90% of the time it's lager night at Joel's.
Hey, I like lagers
whether
too.
it's lighter lagers, I'll throw it with throwing in some dark lager, like a good Schwarz beer or something. But I would say Czech style lagers are probably my favorite. But I love lagers have become my go-to probably for the last year or so. Like everybody's palate kind of goes through changes over time. And I used to have more of an affinity, especially for like sours and like Belgian stuff, like wheat stuff. But it's one of those things where I guess maybe after going to so many breweries and just constantly trying new beers all the time, it's more of I just like having just 2 style good clean lagers when I'm at my house. So that's and Lakefront is one of my favorites here in Milwaukee. It's just a classic place. Great beer hall right on the river. One of the best tours that you'll be on any brewery in the country. It's just a great place. They recently expanded their patio, like they made it a whole other level on their outdoor patio on the river. And yeah, just good food too. I actually used to, before kids, I worked right up the road from there at United Way, and I would go there on Friday, go get some fish for the fish fry. You know, their cheese curds are famous. So you know, it's a good place to be.
Hey, Joel.
Yeah.
Hey, Joel, I have a quick question on lagers
Yeah.
for you then. So maybe you probably haven't a chance because I think it's been maybe 2 years. In Maine, in Biddeford, there is Sacred Profane Brewing, and they started with just 2 styles of beer, a light lager and a dark lager. Have you had them?
I have not. I have heard of them, but unfortunately, I have not been back to Maine since we lived up there in 2017. We're planning, like I said, we're planning on getting back up there, hopefully in 2025, because we already have, believe it or not, going to Hawaii and Alaska in the same year. We're doing that because I wanted to get to 50 before I finished my book. That is an endeavor, you know, to be able to do both those trips back to back. So we will not be doing any other major trips, but we're hoping in 2025 to get back up to New England and do all the New England states again, because we have not been. We were in Connecticut when we were living in like the New Jersey, New York area, but other than that, we have not been back up in New England since we were there in 2017.
A quick question, Greg, if you don't mind, for Joel. Where are you going in Hawaii? Because we had a former guest who has 2 restaurants in Hawaii that we might actually be able to point you towards, who might have some inroads for you.
So we are actually doing an inter-island cruise. So we are going a lot of places,
Okay.
and we are going to have multiple days in a couple of them. So obviously we'll be in and out of Honolulu, and we're spending an extra day in Honolulu at the end. But here, let me pull up. And we're. Look at my.
That's pretty good.
Find it here. Terrible live streaming. Why it won't. Okay, let me just pull up the map. Because I've been mapping out the breweries, obviously, on each island that I can possibly get to. We're going to be renting cars and all the stops instead of doing it.
Yeah.
We're going to have 2 days on Maui at Kahului is going to be where the base is. Then we're going to have 1 full day at Hilo on the Big Island, and also 1 day at Kailua Kona on the Big Island. And then we're going to have 2 full days over at Lanai, and I think that is Kauai is the base for that. And then back to Honolulu. And I probably did not pronounce those names 100% right, unfortunately, but I tried my best.
Yeah. I will say, if you're in Honolulu, there's a place called Coco Head Cafe. That's where we had Leanne Wong, who is a celebrity chef. We had her on our show. And I guarantee you can point you to some things you might not find because she lives there. She has restaurants on 2 different islands.
Brunch restaurant.
It is a brunch restaurant. It is one of the best. It was called the best brunch restaurant in Hawaii. So she makes awesome stuff. She's fucking hilarious. She's fantastic. I still talk to her and stuff, like, off and on. So, and she's like a fucking famous chef. She's talking to some fucking knucklehead like me who lives in New York and has no goddamn reason to talk to me about anything, but like she was great on the show. I will point you in that direction, just because if you want a good brunch, you go there. And if you happen to see her, not that you name dropping us will do anything, but
yeah.
but I think she would say, hey, my friend Doug Ziegler said, hey, can you point me in the direction of, and she'll point you to some awesome shit, like, just because she knows the island. So not that you have to do that. I just was offering that as an idea.
I marked it on the map. Well, hopefully, like I said, we can get there. But I like to. My Google map is covered mostly in breweries, but also places to go and things to eat and stuff that I want to get to. So
yeah, how important when you travel? I know breweries are important. How important is food?
I would say pretty minimal, honestly. We do, when we live somewhere, we do often go out, especially like for instance, when we lived in New Orleans, we obviously went out a higher percent. Like we went out and tried a lot of food in New Orleans.
New Orleans food.
Oh man, that was so good. The catfish is all the crawfish. So yeah, so good. But I would say most of because my wife's on more on the frugal side. And when we travel, we're doing more experiences, going national parks, doing museums, that kind of stuff, and then breweries. And it's like, if we're also going out to eat and paying a mortgage and also paying for temperate, it's like at some point you have to kind of make some decisions. So we don't eat out that much. But when we do try to like go to places that are, reminiscent of the region. Like, we got crab cakes when we were in Baltimore, obviously. And we got seafood when we were living on the beach in Florida. So like we try to do that kind of stuff. And we do enjoy it, but it's not as, a big of a deal for us personally. Which,
All right.
Okay, great. Sorry about that, Greg. Go ahead.
No. I just have to apologize because while y'all were talking, I was rolling my eyes, but it wasn't at y'all. It was at this. So just so y'all.
Just so you know, Joel, when Zach comments on our show, it can go 50 directions. It can go. Some of it we can't even like post to the stream because it's
just for your eyes only.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, without further ado, one of the reasons why I'm excited that Joel's here, Doug, is because I get to introduce Joel as
Woohoo!
Now, know that this isn't Badger Beer Hour before you say it. But Badger Beer Hour is a wonderful project that I love that's under the Daddy Porter brand. Umbrella. Badger Beer Hour, for all those who don't know, it's the premier Doug live stream dedicated to Wisconsin beer. We're premier. Why? Because we're the only one. So we are premier, we are unique, and Joel is now a part of that. He's going to bring his brewery prowess to the stream. We're going to be he's going to bring his brewery focus to the live stream. He's going to bring his knowledge and beer to the live stream. He's going to be bringing all kinds of different things to the live stream. Me and him are already working on some things that we can talk about soon. I'm just excited to have Joel here. Joel, any comments, questions, concerns, problem with the management already?
Concerns. Let's go ahead and start there. Where's I need the little where's the little box that I put in my disagreements with how it's being. No, I am so excited. I am absolutely ecstatic. And obviously, I've had, I know we talked about it too. Chris has obviously, I know, been on my podcast multiple times. And I've enjoyed getting to chat with him, and I'm just very, very happy about getting to share his experience with you guys. And like I said, we're starting to settle down. I will still be doing my visiting breweries all over when I can, but I'm now going to be more at the forefront of, being at home here with Wisconsin beer and getting to focus on the beer scene here in Milwaukee and other parts of the state. And I'm honestly really excited about that because, like I said, since we moved here, I was here for a year, but I'm, now finally permanently here rather than jetting off all the time and living all over the place. Wisconsin is now our, permanent home, and getting to dive into the beer scene here is something that I'm really looking forward to.
All right. So since you're being added to the Badger Beer Hour, my question would be, I don't live in Wisconsin, but I love watching that show because I learn a lot about a region that I'm not in. I learn a lot about beer in ways that I didn't think that I needed to learn. So Badger Beer Hour currently has Leonard Cherney and Chris Strasner. Are both of those going to be included with you as well? How is this working? If I can ask, as someone that's like, I'm not part of that stream and how it works, so I'm curious how that's going to work.
So Joel's a newbie, kind of knows, but he hasn't even had his first stream, so I'll answer that, Doug.
Yeah, you are still I'm the rookie.
Yeah. So Doug, to answer your question, buddy, no, Joel's just being added to the crew.
Okay.
We're going to Joel has his own responsibilities, as we will talk about. We are unfortunately, I will just say that his we're going to use his specialty in the best way possible, if that makes sense. So Joel will be around and focused, and I would even call him the director of breweries within the Badger Beer Hour at this point. So he's either going to be that now, or he's going to move into that. And then Chris is still going to be executive news guy, and he's going to still do the interviews. Landon's still going to do what Landon does. So Joel's just being added, and no one, hopefully, that we know. Chris took a little hiatus there, but we're all strong. We are family. We are welcoming in Joel, for better or for worse. Joel came in a little hot being a Packer fan, and Landon was a little. There was a little bit of going on, and actually, y'all, the best part about it is y'all get to see this dynamic next week as the takes over this stream, and it will be Landon, Chris, Joel, and I as hosts, and we will have special guests Maggie Skinner from Revolution Brewing, correct? And we will have brewer and co-founder of Venture Brewing, Simon McConaughey. And we might have other guests. So you will get to see the dynamic between Joel and all of us before the first Badger Beer Hour. This will be next week. And then the Badger Beer Hour will be, I think it's still 2 weeks out. I think we still got a good 3 weeks. So yeah, Doug, great question. Joel's not replacing anybody. Joel is adding. So that's exciting for us on another level. It'll give us different ways to report. Actually, Joel, we might as well just talk about it. One of the things that we're working on, that we can firmly say that we're working on, is we're going to we want to be an authority. Joel and I have talked about this. We want to be an authority on how many breweries are in Wisconsin, and comings and goings, and openings, closings. We want to be involved in all that. We want to know what's going on. We want to bring it to our beer teams. We also want to bring the beer tourism, which we haven't really done that much in Badger Beer. We haven't had the capital, but Joel coming in hard and heavy with his brewery knowledge and prowess, we think we'll be able to do that. So we want to be one of the main sources of knowing where the breweries are and how many there are. And Joel's already on that. Me and him are already working on that. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. I'm just really, really excited about adding a talent like Joel. I'm just really excited.
You're making me blush over here, Greg. You're making me blush. I'm really excited about the project too, and we're breaking it down. We're hopefully going to be breaking it down by county, to have full, the breweries sorted by county, so to make it easy to kind of find and showcase how they lay across the land. And as he hinted at, kind of talking about on the show, discussing where you want to go and highlighting, especially because I think everybody knows, Milwaukee and Madison are the two at the forefront, in terms of the number of breweries, the quality of breweries, but there's great breweries kind of all over the state, scattered throughout. And there's some other small to mid-sized cities that have some really great little emerging beer scenes. And this is going to be an opportunity to kind of highlight those too, whether it's talking about Appleton or Burlington or Eau Claire or La Crosse, getting to highlight some of these smaller places that you may not think of as, a beer destination, but there's enough there for a nice little weekend of brewery hopping, in a lot of these places. So that's going to be part of the goal too, is to showcase all that. And also eventually maybe even trying to showcase, because it is, obviously a Wisconsin centric live stream, but also showcasing, maybe some little day trips, to neighboring states, talking about whether Chicago, the Twin Cities, Indianapolis, Grand Rapids.
Minneapolis.
Yep. Oh yeah. I love my parents live up near the Twin Cities. I am a big fan of the beer scene up there. So yeah, I mean, there is a lot to potentially to cover. There's so much potential content there. Because yeah, like I said, I have the most experience obviously in the state of Wisconsin. I think it's like something like 188 breweries I've been to currently, but there's still there's at least, from what I'm talking with other people too in my calculations, at least like 260, 270 breweries in the state. So I've still got a ways to go. And I've also, like, as you can see, I've been blessed, a lot of the neighboring states I've been able to go to. So it'll be fun to kind of dive into my experiences there and basically try to get other people to go and check them out. Like, that's going to be kind of the goal. That's the goal of what Brewery Travels is that it's not just about sharing my experiences. It's about motivating other people to go out there and support other local breweries, whether it's where they're living or where they're going to go and visit. So
interesting thing, Greg, pull up that map again real quick, if you could, that you just had up, the green, we'll tell the greens. All right. So my dumbass, even though I'm pretty well versed in geography, always for some reason thought Illinois was farther north than what it is. Even though I know it's below Wisconsin, I know it is.
That southern tip of Illinois is really far south. People don't realize that.
It's like way the fuck down there. And I know Chicago is right closer to the border of Wisconsin. It's not that far. It just feels like with the Windy City and all that shit that it should be farther fucking north, and it isn't.
Chicagoland is almost a separate thing from the state of Illinois itself.
Like it's its own little entity.
Yeah, especially the southern part of Illinois. Like it's a very different state, essentially.
Well, the southern part of Illinois, that's a hunk of Kentucky that they just cut off and just put it.
Yeah, it's kind of like where Missouri, Indiana, and Kentucky were all supposed to actually converge, and they just decided to give it to Illinois instead. But because I've been to a handful of breweries on other parts of the state too, but obviously, as you can imagine, a majority of my experience is in near the Chicagoland area. So
yeah, and JHG touched on this. This is actually true too. Like DC feels like it should be way farther east than what, like not way farther, but farther east than what it is. Like that's pretty close to being on the like in Virginia. But
and actually, I just realized I don't think this is the updated map because Connecticut isn't filled in properly, and neither is New York from the updates. But that's okay.
Well, but you have
here, Greg, I'm sending you the correct one because my ADHD isn't going to let me. Somehow I thought that I had just saved it to the same name so it would get replaced, but now I'm seeing that it wasn't. So hold on, I'm going to send you the other one here. Here.
Zach, we love you, man.
Do we?
We do.
Do we?
I did a whole show with him for
go.
damn near 4 fucking hours. Yes, we love Zach.
I know. Yes, I have let down my community. I'm gonna have to do a notes app on Twitter now to apologize.
You don't have to apologize for this. Okay. Yeah. So listen, I'll say this publicly. If you ever get to New York and you need a place to go, come here. I will take you to what's near here. So you'll have a few more counties to knock out.
Yeah.
Greg's been here, and I took him to all the breweries we had here. One of the breweries recently shut down, which was Water Street. That was not really surprising. They were not a great brewery, and they had a very poor location. So that doesn't help. So I know you said you tend to go. Who's the new host on the bottom? Yeah, Manny, bring it. So I know you, if you're going to a new state and like, for instance, you're going to Hawaii and Alaska.
Yep.
I'm going to guess my guess would be you would want to get to the more populous breweries, like, go Kona in Hawaii and Anchorage, I guess, in Alaska would be the big ones. Is that your normal mode of operation? And I'm not shitting on that. I'm just asking that.
No, it isn't really. I would say it plays in, like, especially like getting to the big names does, especially if I have a long time, if I have a decent amount of time, getting to the big names is obviously important. Like the old school breweries in particular,
yeah,
like
the old school is definitely,
like it was important. Like I really was, and it was really, really good too. Like getting to like a Brooklyn brewery, when I was in Brooklyn, going to Sierra Nevada or going to Revolution in Chicago, like those kind of places, I think is important. I do a lot of research ahead of time. I figure out all of the breweries in the area. I'm cross-referencing it with, I don't do Untappd personally. I take handwritten notes at every brewery because I'm I guess, an old school, even though I'm not really old school, but I do my own notes and just kind of keep that to myself. But I do look at the Untapped ratings just because I'm curious about it. I read
Sure.
reviews. Oftentimes at this point, I generally have a familiarity because of people I've talked to. Thankfully, because of my podcast, I've been able to make so many good connections all around the country that at this point, I typically, if I don't have a confidence in like my knowledge of the beer scene, I know someone that does.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I love to reach out to people that know more than me about a beer scene, because that's the way that's the way you learn more. You get to know those breweries that are the small ones that are under the radar that may not be getting the the national attention or the press clippings to get to. So that is something that I take very seriously as my preparation, figuring out the different neighborhoods, because part of it also ends up depending too on location, especially if you're going to. This isn't necessarily going to be the case where I'm going, in Hawaii and Alaska, because you're mostly dealing with smaller places. But if you're going to a place like Atlanta, LA, a lot like a big metro area, you can't just assume that you're going to be able to pick 4 breweries and get to them all. You have to look where they are, because if they're on opposite ends of the city, you're not doing those. You're not doing both of them unless you have multiple days. So you have to be able to plan ahead in that regards. And surprisingly, especially if you're there on weekdays, you have to make sure you check the brewery's hours too, because I've been burned on that a couple times. So like I try to be pretty diligent. If it's a major trip, I'll even break it down with a spreadsheet, because I'm nerdy like that with business hours and what neighborhood they're in and all that kind of fun stuff. So I probably take it way more seriously than what you should. But if I did, that's just who I am, and that's how I enjoy it, I guess. So I enjoy the preparation almost just as much, because I get to envision going to these places and trying to plan out what my evening's going to look like. And I even look at tap lists too, like when it's getting close, because if I'm only going to go to 3 or 4 breweries, if I'm down between 2 of them, I'm gonna see if they each have a tap list online and be like, oh, this place has got some stuff that I want to try, and that may end up being the determining factor.
Amen. Zach?
He's not wrong, Greg. Like, you have no gray in that picture, and we both are gray now. So I don't know. I don't know if that was 2012.
It makes you look distinguished. Is that the word? Yeah.
Right, Zach.
Yeah, let's go with that. Distinguished.
Zach, so shut up. Thank you. Look at Joel. Look how Joel has ingratiated himself already, Doug. He's like part of the family already. Yep. Right. Pushing back on Zach's nonsense. Manny, you missed it, but I talked about why I missed, and it wasn't what he said here. So
no, that was not why Greg missed.
This is fake news, okay? By definition.
As Zach said, what are we to believe, though?
Well, not that. Not that. Oh, Jesus. Well played, Joel. Well played.
Yeah. Yes, he's so tried and tested already, Doug. We're going to try to test it, Doug. What do you got?
All right. So I said I had a third, and I suspected that Joel had been to this brewery, and then he mentioned it.
Oh, yes, Brooklyn Brewery. There it is.
Now, not only this is Brooklyn Black Ops. This is Brooklyn Black Ops from 11/21. This is from 2.5 years ago, almost. That was in my cellar fridge. This is their one that was aged in 4 Roses small batch bourbon barrels. So this, I'm really excited to see how it is. I don't delve into my cellar fridge all that often. I should do it more. I probably have 60 fucking beers in there that I should probably drink.
And you're criticizing me when I said you keep beers for 8 years. Don't do that.
I had when I visited Brooklyn, I had one of my favorite pumpkin ales that I've ever had.
Really?
And then I also had so I tried just their regular lager and one of their IPAs, but I also it was called Mega Purple. It was a blended wheat beer that was both barrel aged and wild fermented. It was like a blend of them.
Oh,
and it was really, really good. Like, I was very impressed with Brooklyn Brewery. I had a really good little visit there.
Look at that. 2.5 years, and look at the head on that ship. Jesus. that smells just fucking divine. It doesn't smell overly boozy. It just smells great. That was delicious. I don't know what else to say. That was so good. Oh my word. I'm really going to thoroughly enjoy drinking that. Daniel is an expert on them just because he doesn't live all that far from them. He lives in New York City.
Lucky him.
Mm-hmm.
So many, like I said, I could talk for a long. I mean, there was so many good breweries there in Brooklyn. You know, Wild East and Threes and Kings County and Talia. There is, oh my goodness, so much good beer.
That's
Grim also.
This is all stuff that Daniel has talked about. I think he also talked, was it Hacienda is one? Or is Hacienda near you?
Hacienda's near me.
Hacienda's us.
Yeah, Hacienda's us. Yeah, Hacienda's Door County, but they have their tap room in Milwaukee.
Yeah. But Threes, I know Daniel had some issues with them. There was some stuff they were going through. But their one stout is ridiculous. And I can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head. But yeah.
So, Doug, I know that you're on and out of coffee. You don't drink as much as you used to because, you know, what's going on.
That's not true. I drink plenty of coffee. It's just all decaf.
Okay. Well, then you can answer this question. Joel, you first. What number is your coffee?
It's typically, I would say, if it's not 1, it's 2. Like I may add a little bit of milk if I want to cool it off faster, but otherwise it's just a little Splenda in there. Nothing else. I'm not. The other stuff I wouldn't. I mean, I would even say 2 is a little bit dark. For if you're even adding anything, 2's still pretty light, in my opinion. So I feel like, yeah, well, I just see Zach. Yeah, there's a lot. I agree. There needs to be more of a gradient because
that seems
I think like
a lot of difference.
three needs to be the end of the list. Seven's just a glass of milk. So I mean, I think 3 should have been the end, and they should have added a whole bunch between 1 and 2.
I could see 4 being the end, but
yeah, I guess. I mean,
but there's a bunch of gradients between all that.
Yeah, you're not drinking. I mean, once you get past 2 or 3, you're not really drinking coffee anymore.
Yeah. All right, Greg. What do you drink?
Yeah,
Greg. What are you drinking this? What's your level?
It's definitely 2 or 1, but I like a little bit of sprinkle of cream, Doug, a little bit, and then I do, of course, the sugar-free vanilla or sugar-free, whatever they got, caramel, or a lot of these places have that sugar-free stuff, so that works. But it's definitely closer to 1 than 2. As I get older, it's just more about the coffee, and coffee. I've learned, by taking a couple coffee courses, Doug, and just being around good coffee, that I mean, I just at Venture Brewing, I can just roll up to Venture Brewing and just take an espresso with no cream, nothing, and just drink that. It's just really, really elegant and it's fucking nice, great. I got to push. I would say 1. I'll go with 1. It depends on. It can't just be like dog shit though. It has to be like Venture Brewing, like $4 for a little thing like that. Yes, it's bougie. Yes, Zach, you can call it whatever the hell you want, because I know I'm gonna get spammed for that. Doug, where are you at? You're a 1 guy, right?
No, I'm middle between 1 and 2. So like 1.5. So here's what I do. I make French press every morning for myself. My wife gets a pour over. That's what I do for her. She gets caffeinated coffee. I get decaf. I grind beans for both of us. So basically, like, I do the French press, and then I'm a bit of a heathen, and I put 3 scoops of unprocessed sugar, like the Demerara. Goddamn, I can't remember the name of it. But like just the unprocessed brown sugar, and then a smidge of milk, and it's 2% milk. Yeah. And maybe I get a pup cup. I'm good with that. Anyway, and then I that's what I do every morning. My wife gets a little less milk, a little less sugar, because she likes her coffee a little bit more staunch than I do. Here's the thing. If I drink 1 cup of caffeinated coffee, 1 cup, I can handle that. If I drink another cup of caffeinated coffee, it seems like fucking Neil Peart is pounding on my heart. Like it's, and I'm like, I can't handle that because I have 5 fucking plastic fucking stents in my heart. I can't have that much fucking pounding going on in my heart. So Demerara. Okay. Thank you, Daniel. And you always know this shit. God damn it, Daniel.
He does. So I think Joe came a little late, so I'm going to give him a minute of.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave, please.
I'm doing a video.
I'm gonna need you to leave, sir.
Why was the reasoning why you won't give me a pup cup?
We're not allowed to do cup cups.
Oh, there we get
Yes,
you the dog.
I come here 2-3 times a week, every week, and get a pup cup. Every time I come here.
We're not supposed to do pup cups. If they're doing it, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Do you not understand? It's just a little cup of whipped cream.
So I need you to leave, please.
Why won't you give me a pup cup?
Because we do not do pup cups at this establishment.
Bullshit. Came here yesterday and got a pup cup.
Somebody hand me the phone, please. Call the police.
She's calling the police because I want a pup cup. Let's see what the police have to say because a person wants a pup cup.
Yeah, Zach, I was about to
Seriously,
comment.
You're calling the police because someone wants a pup cup. That's absolutely absurd. Absolutely ridiculous.
That makes me happy.
Cassopolis, Michigan.
Her glasses are a spin upon a statement.
No, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Call the police.
Why won't you give me a pup cup?
Because we do not do pup cups at this establishment.
The glasses, y'all want to talk about them?
The S is for style.
It's almost Harry Potterish in a weird way.
And then the moral of the story is the cops do roll up.
Like, no, we don't do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I came here yesterday and got a pup cup. I'm like, what's the big deal? It's just a little whipped cream in a little cup. And she's sitting there making a big deal saying, we don't do pup cups. You need to leave. I want you to leave. I'm like, hold on. I'm going to pull up my phone. I'm like, you guys are really refusing to give me a pup cup for 35 cents that, you know, it shouldn't be asking. She's like, I'm calling the cops if you don't leave. I said, go ahead and call the cops because I want to document this because they're calling the cops on a customer, a paying customer that comes here regularly.
This cop does not want to be dealing with this.
That's what I want.
Said you were screaming at him and yelling.
He did not want to be there dealing with that.
Like, why am I fucking here? What am I doing? This is dumb.
But I just wanted to give Joel that context for the pop cup because I didn't think he saw it. So
Yeah, no, I don't. I had not seen that yet.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the beginning of our show.
Right. Also, back to this too is a little light for me, but I like. I don't know. It's on the sweeter side with fire stuff.
Stock is like an. It's
like an iced. Like you buy it and you can refrigerate
like an iced
it.
coffee.
They have different, like an iced coffee, and they have some different flavors and stuff. My wife has some of that, so
she's a hunter with the TVA sent to prevent purple.
I would like to say this fucking beer I'm having is excellent, though. This is really good.
Can we see it again?
Yes.
Can we
probably
see it
mostly
again?
gone by now. Oh no, it's not okay.
I can't drink that shit that fast. Jesus Christ. I'd pass out on the screen. But it's a Black Ops for Brooklyn. It's the Four Roses barrel.
And what is Black Ops? What is the base style, Doug?
Oh, it's an imperial stout, but it's an imperial stout. You know, actually, they just say it's a regular stout aged in Four Roses small barrel. Let me see if they have the ABV on here.
Coke Black.
It's now listen. When they canned this was 12.4, and this was in my cellar fridge for nearly 2.5 years. So who knows what that's at now? But it's delicious.
All right, Doug. All right. So a couple things here, and we'll send Joel this way. We will see Joel next week, though, y'all.
For sure.
With the Badger Beer Hour BIB takeover. And then we'll see him the week after the Badger Beer Hour. He's going to make his debut. We don't know what that looks like. I think he might be doing a beer spotlight and all that. But we are just, again, announcing that he's on the Badger Beer Hour now. He's joined the merry crew. And we are happy to have him. But with that being said, Joe, are you today is homemade soup day, y'all. National Homemade Soup Day. And I know Doug loves this shit. I don't know how much Joel does when he's at every other fucking brewery all the damn time. I don't know where he can make some damn homemade soup, Doug. So we're about to find out where Joel has time to make homemade soup. Joel, do you like homemade soup? You make
Yeah,
it? What's going on?
do. We don't necessarily make homemade soup a bunch, but I do really enjoy soup. I would say my favorites are I guess are chowders considered, part of that.
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh,
Yeah, I love a good seafood chowder. The best one I ever had wasn't homemade. It was at a restaurant called the River House in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. That was the best chowder I've ever had. And but I do enjoy some good soups. One of my whether it's a minestrone, a chicken noodle. I have to be. I know I told this to you guys earlier, but I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I have to. Yeah. I am. Yeah, it's hard to make a homemade soup when you don't have time to gather all the proper ingredients.
Fair.
But no, being a type 1 diabetic, it limits you a little bit on ingredients, so you can't just, whenever you're looking at a recipe, anything with carbs is like, New England clam, that is where it's at. Anything, I mean, and like I said, clam chowder is good, but the one, I forget what was all in it, but the seafood chowder I had more than just clams in it. It had a lot of stuff going on, and it was really, really good.
Like lobster and crab. And
I think it had some lobsters,
scallops,
like that. A bisque, a good like lobster bisque.
Good bisque is good.
Good bisque is a really, really good.
What's up, Doug? You were chomping at the bit when I said.
Oh, I was. When you said this, I was like,
yes. What's going on, Doug?
All right. So first of all, as someone who needs a low sodium diet, I will say when you make veggies and anytime you have leftover scraps, throw it in a bag, throw it in your freezer. And then when you have a full bag, just fucking throw it in a pot with a bunch of water, add whatever spices you like. You can make your homemade stock. It is infinitely better. It tastes better. It's so much lower in sodium. It's so much easier. Like it seems, just throw that shit in your freezer. I'm telling you, it keeps for forever. But I will tell you some of my favorite homemade soups that I make. I make a Hungarian mushroom soup, which takes fucking like an hour and a half to make, and it's fucking incredible. It's a fuck ton of mushrooms. If you like mushrooms, Hungarian mushroom soup is for you. If you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to like it. The classic chicken noodle is great, and that you can do in a lot of ways. If you get a rotisserie chicken, strip all the meat out of that, throw the bones in a bag, throw it in your freezer. That could be cold soup, Manny, if you want.
Asking the important questions.
That is an important question. Yeah, no, Zach, I did not ask you to do that. So, and I never would. I will say the soups that are like my favorite fucking soup is French onion soup. I can eat that repeatedly, and just you've got to render the onions down for like an hour.
And the cheese on top and all that.
The cheese, Gruyere cheese, or you can do provolone. Either one works.
So you got to dip it with the bread, right?
Yeah, or you throw croutons on the top of it. Like, it's so fucking good. Homemade tomato soup with a grilled cheese is super underrated. Super easy to make homemade tomato soup. I also make a soup that is an Icelandic fish stew, which, goddamn, it's so full and delicious. That's a street food in Iceland, by the way. Yeah, I'm not making homemade soup with you, Zach. Sorry. There's a million soups. I fucking love soup, but not Zach soup. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wait.
We've gotten to that point of the show.
My shirt or Doug's shirt?
I would think he's talking about yours. I do like your stone shirt, Doug.
Yeah, and the thing is, this shirt is probably older than my youngest son. I am an arrogant
I have a funny story about arrogant bastard. So I was talking about doing the pick sixes in college, And I remember one time we got an Arrogant Bastard, and back then, especially it was in a bottle and it had on the label, that basically it had an entire literature. It had literature out down the side about saying that you're not man enough for this beer. You can't handle this beer. Blah 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 blah
Yeah,
blah. We're like,
the
oh
back of my
yeah,
shirt says you are not worthy. That's the back of my shirt.
It was like blah 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 blah. And I remember getting it and thinking it was the most. It was sitting on the shelf of an rural Iowa grocery store in a pick six section. So it had probably been sitting there a long time. And I remember getting it, and it was the most, I could not imagine. I was like, who the hell is drinking this? Because I remember because sometimes I would let my buddies like try if something was really interesting, try it, and none of us, we didn't finish the bottle of beer between the four of us. And now, obviously, since then, I have since had Arrogant Bastard and can appreciate it. But I remember that was very early on in the craft beer. I was 21, very early on, and I was like, yeah, no, you were right, Stone. I was not man enough and ready for that beer. So, that would be, yeah, that's how I felt, was that, yeah, Stone kicked the crap out of me that very first try. And they were actually, they were my 300th brewery visit back in 2018. And I love them. Got to try some really cool stuff there. And got the tour and everything. So they were a fabulous time, but I still have a very distinct memory of that experience, trying out the Arrogant Bastard for the first time in college.
What was your gateway beer? We all have a gateway beer, a beer that
was
got
an Arrogant Bastard.
Yeah,
Arrogant Bastard is one of them. That's why Doug brought it up.
No, for me it wasn't Arrogant Bastard. It was Rogue Keg Guy.
Well, no, I didn't say you. I said for a lot of people, Arrogant Bastard is one of them. That's why you brought it up, for sure.
I would say, oddly enough, one that I really remember liking in college. I remember really liking Sam Adams Cherry Wheat. It's a classic. It's kind of one of their staple. I know it comes. It's a seasonal, I believe. And I think it was because it was one of those beers that I was not envisioning that this is what beer tastes like, kind of thing. And so I think it kind of opened to the door, because I'd been trying some other, kind of just your classic, wheat style beers, or your classic red lager or a classic pale ale. And the Cherry Wheat kind of opened the door, because that was one of the first ones I tried, I remember. And that was kind of like this is really different. And I kind of like the cherry, a little tartness, with the nice wheat base there. I remember really liking that beer. And then I think in the same variety pack was Cold Snap from Sam Adams. And I like that one too. So I would say those kind of led the way. I also remember the first time I tried a sour beer, because I'm a big fan of sours, was at Growler Guys in Eugene, Oregon. And it was I think it was the Cucumber Crush from 10 Barrel Brewing, which, was bought out by AB InBev, but, really made some great Berliner Weisses. And I remember not even knowing what a sour really was. And I was like, why would I want it to be sour? And I was like, oh no, I do want it to be sour. I really like that. So those would be a couple that stick out to me, in terms of leading me down kind of the different pathways, I guess.
Yeah.
Doug, what was yours? You were going to say that.
Yeah, mine was Rogue Dead Guy Ale. And being in Pennsylvania, getting a beer from Oregon felt like I was getting it from China. Like, I don't know how to explain that. Like, this is from Oregon, and I was like my brother would get me a case of Dead Guy Ale as a Christmas gift for fucking like 10 years, and I would just drink the shit out of that. I love that beer. And you were in Oregon, so there's some beers that are retired from Rogue that I really wish, like Old Crustacean and things like that. Man, I liked Old Crustacean. That was such a good beer. Shakespeare Stout, which is still around, you get that. But like, I'm curious. I have to imagine you went to Rogue at some point.
Yeah, I went to the location in Portland. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you have there that you liked the most at Rogue specifically? And I'm speaking because that was my gateway beer into craft beer.
Yes. I can tell you, because like I said, this is why I sort all my visits by state into a spreadsheet, and I keep track of what my favorite beer was at each stop.
Hold on. This is an entry beer.
For what? For
That is an entry level beer for Jesus.
That's nice. That's a nice.
Damn.
oh,
Steve.
yeah. So my favorite from Rogue was actually an alt beer called Mild Thrills.
Never had that one.
An alt beer. It very well could have been one of the ones that was a tap room only or just a small batch release. Because that's whenever I go to like a bigger brewery, I typically already know kind of their flagships, but I still like to try. Like for instance, I was just at Bell's for the first time. I obviously got Two Hearted as part of my flight because it's on tap at the source. But I also tried a couple of like their collabs that are like new that was not necessarily available to for distribution. So that's what I try to balance whenever I'm going to like a large national brewery is getting
The flagships.
things that I otherwise wouldn't get the chance to.
Right. Have you at Bell's? Sorry, Greg. Let me hop here and then I'll get out of your way.
Well, I was going to talk about Rogue, but I'll get back to it.
No, my question is quick about Bell's. That I had one beer from them that was like a cherry ale that they made from their Michigan or Wisconsin cherries or whatever. I can't remember what it was called. It was so fucking good.
Was it a stout or was it a?
No, it was an ale. It was an ale that just made with cherries. And look at Greg. What the fuck is that, man? Why are you shitting on something that I thought was really good?
Oh,
I'm not sure.
Was it a version of their Oberon?
No. It was just their.
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up. I
was Googling it and I'm trying to. Those are the two things that are immediately coming up. Pool Time Ale.
Pool Time.
That was it. Okay. Yep. Pool Time wheat ale with cherries.
Yes.
There it is.
I'm just rolling. This whole cherry thing reminds me of your Mad Elf thing. That's all I'm really mad about.
I get that. Have you ever had Mad Elf, Joel?
I have had. Yes, I've visited.
Not.
Yes, I've visited
Trogs.
Trogue.
Awesome.
Yes, Trogues is a really cool visit. They have a great team there on social media. Also, I can shout them out. Trogues is very cool.
Rogue beers. Been to 2 locations. Rogue is, and I can say this with my full chest, one of the most disappointing breweries I've ever been to in my whole life. That's it.
Dude, you're allowed to have your opinion on that shit. That's okay, man.
Sure.
I've been to big name breweries that I've been disappointed with overall too, so I totally get that.
My opinion, though, Doug, is not based on whether I like the taste of the beers or not. A lot of the beers were diacetyl and had literal flaws that we know that beers have. In not one spot, Doug, but 2 spots. So that turned me off about them.
Really?
There's 2 locations in Oregon. There is that downtown one. I wasn't at the main brew pub. I didn't make that. I made the 2 locations in Oregon, though. And I went to the second one just because I was like, I had such a bad experience at the other one. This other one can't be that bad. And it was. So, as Doug knows, I don't talk bad about any brewery. And I'm generally here to say good things about breweries. And I generally don't accent it. But y'all brought up Rogue, so I had to say it. Hopefully things got better. Maybe there was things going on at the brewery that we don't know about. Just like life, sometimes people, pop off on you and you just don't know what's going on with them, behind and why that is. So I'll give Rogue grace. And also, if y'all enjoy Rogue, enjoy Rogue. That's not on me. And I don't want to influence that in any kind of way. And Joel and I know, and one thing I kind of want to get to Joel real quick, and then we've got some other things we should take care of before we let Joel go. But Joel, how do you feel about that as far as goes? How do you feel about sharing a brewery that you didn't like? You've been to over 1,000, so there's no way you like them all. There's just no way.
No.
So how
correct.
do you balance that? Because what I see from your media is I see that you do a lot of, in my opinion, kind of just straight reporting, for lack of a word. You're not a journalist. I don't feel that your opinion is ever really.
If I really like a brewery, I would say if I love a brewery, you will know it based off of my post on Instagram and Twitter.
Right,
but unless I
real
like
quick though, Joe.
love a brewery, yeah, I typically try to keep away from, like, if it's
Well,
just an average, it doesn't really matter. But like you were talking about, if I do not like the brewery, um, I don't post about, like, I'm not like public. I don't publicly go out of my way to bash a brewery. However, I have, if someone, I get people reaching out for recommendations all the time, and at that point, I'm very open and upfront, about,
gotcha.
okay, here are places to go, here are places to avoid. But like you kind of said, that it's typically there's only been, like, I mean, there's definitely been times where it's like, okay, the beer is just straight up bad. Like, there is something wrong here. But like, a lot of the time I'm kind of like, there are other people here that seem to be enjoying themselves. Like, it's not my place to necessarily dictate that other people don't come here. So like that's kind of my view on it.
What I like about your style is that you generally accent the good things. So if the tap room is really dope, you'll be like, look, this tap room is excellent. You know what I mean? So I think that what I like about your presentation generally is that you accent the good parts. And so almost sometimes when I'm reading your stuff or when I'm hearing you on a podcast or when I'm hearing other people, I can see, like, I can say, oh, Joel's highlighting these parts, but he's not really talking about these things, because then there are times where you talk about, the beer here was an excellent. You know
oh yeah, like,
sometimes just like,
you'll know.
Oh man,
you'll know.
Yeah. Oh, or or sometimes you'll say the best part about this brewery is the view. Look at the view, dog. And you're just like, well, the location was just amazing. Like, for my family, I think the one I just read recently was like, yo, this location is amazing. I was able to get off the highway. It was right there. My family loved it. You know what I mean? So that's what I like about your presentation, Joel, is that generally it's positive in some way, and you always find a way to find some positivity where you're at to present that. And It doesn't seem that you bring a negative aspect. And generally that's kind of how I do. So for me to call out Rogue like this, it's really one thing. And another thing too, though, I don't see a lot of these are mom and pop shops. So even with all due respect, our small reach, however big it is, it's kind of, it's still relatively small. We could have effect on a mom and pop shop. I don't think I'll ever have an effect on Rogue. Rogue is Rogue. People like them. They're so regional and big. You know what I mean? Even if I say something negative, Joel, I don't think that it'll just, make Rogue go downhill. So like, that's what I like about you, but that's what I also do myself. So I wanted you to comment on that, about like being in this industry adjacent, but also being such a fan of it. Because I know you're a fan. You wouldn't be a fan if you didn't go to 10% of the breweries in this country. So then there's an aspect of, responsibility as far as how you present that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that is something that I kind of took on very early on, because that I kind of decided, okay, like, well, I can take this account one of two ways. Like, I can either go, I know, there are people that do publish their ratings, online and everything. And that's perfectly fine. Everybody does it differently. I do, like I said, I take handwritten notes. I do rate all the beers I try. I do have overall ratings, both for the beer and the tap room, but that's just on my spreadsheet. That's for my own recollection when I'm going back, and whether it's while I'm writing my book or whether it's giving recommendations. But I am, like I said, I am very open with people on recommendations in terms of places to go, places to avoid. But yeah, it is one thing, like when you talk about like these small places, and I've met so many awesome people that work, that own these breweries, that work at these breweries, that typically, I'm trying to share the uniqueness of each place is what I'm trying to do. Because I always say that, the brewery scene is, a brewery is a lot like a fingerprint. Each one is unique. They all serve different beers. Even if you go to two breweries back to back and you get the pale ale, they're not going to be the exact same at each brewery. And the tap rooms are going to be different. Obviously, the people behind the bar are going to be different. The stories are going to be different. So that is what I like to highlight, is because they each have their own story to tell. And I think that is what makes it so awesome. And then when you look at it more macro, each beer city, each brewery scene has its own story to tell, because the breweries are making a small tapestry in that city for people that are both living there and visiting. So I just think there's so much cool information that you can share about a brewery before you have to necessarily go into, obviously, like I said, highlighting the best of the best when it comes to beer is important, but you don't have to go out of your way, Oh, and I have not. So I saw that comment. So unfortunately, I have not made it to that part of Pennsylvania. I've spent time in the Philadelphia metro area, Pittsburgh. I've done a lot in the Harrisburg area and Hershey, Gettysburg, and I made a couple other stops kind of along that main freeway route. But I have not made it. I have heard that name though, so it is on my radar for sure.
I would like to point out that Weyerbacher might be my favorite brewery in the sort of Philly adjacent area.
Mm-hmm.
They make some awesome high gravity beers. If you like high gravity stuff, they make some amazing fucking beers.
Shout out to Lorenzo. Absolutely. Yeah, I've been to Weyerbacher. It's amazing. I tell a story about it. Doug knows the story. It's a great place. You got to get there. Yeah, Joel. Yep. And then, yep. Shout out to Mr. Coco. That's awesome to see him there. Man, I haven't been there in a long time. This was something there. It's Sandy Tiny. Yeah. Weyerbacher's good stuff. So, yeah, y'all. We got something to do here. Happy. Where's my? Oh, here we go. All right. Happy Black History Month, y'all. And Doug and I have a tradition of talking about Black people in history that have done great things that we may or may not know about. We're going to start with Joel. Joel has a classic fella here that we, like many of us know. But as we said, I've talked about this guy on a couple projects. Went to a wonderful event at Pilot Project, Joel, last year.
Yeah.
So you weren't around for that, but
I didn't know that when I mentioned him.
Yeah,
but,
he's awesome. But so I think this is the one, Joel. You want to talk about Mr.
Yeah. So Ted Mack. So
Jr.
I got to learn a lot about him recently. There was a book that came out called Ted Mack and America's First Black-Owned Brewery, The Rise and Fall of People's Beer. And I had the author on my podcast. He lives, actually, funny enough, this is about Ted Mack, who opened a brewery in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And the author of this book lives in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So there's a little fun fact, I guess you could say. And I was having him on to talk about the beer scene around Las Cruces and El Paso, Texas, that whole metro area. But we also got to talk about his book, Ted Mack, and America's First Black-Owned Brewery. So as you could kind of see there on the little write-up, he was, from Milwaukee, and he eventually went up and got put together a group to buy what would become People's Brewery. And it opened, as it says there, in 1970, and it was the first African-American brewery in the country. And it was around, what was it, for 2 years, I believe. There was, depending on what part, where you get your information from, there was some going ons that were not very positive. Obviously, it was not necessarily received positively by different members of the public. But it was still really cool to kind of hear that story about him kind of going up there and essentially saying, like, we're just going to do this, is essentially what it came down to. Like, I want to do this. I want to open a brewery. And it has obviously inspired a lot of people. I know you've talked about, Greg, kind of some of the events locally, and there was a brewery out in Sacramento, California, that for the 50th anniversary of the brewery brewed the recipe People's Beer in honor of Ted Mack Sr. So I thought that was really neat. And it is just a neat little piece of Wisconsin history that we have here, that we were, able to be a small part of that journey for him, I guess. But I would say, since I know the author, if you want to know a lot more about Ted Mack, you can get the book. It's available, obviously online wherever books would be sold, and it's a really good read. I enjoyed talking with Clint a lot about it. He's written a couple other books surrounding beer. But yeah, he put together a group of Milwaukee investors, and was able to kind of go and do that. So I think that was a really cool story.
Yeah, and Badger Beer Hour, the first Badger Beer Hour, we tackled that issue. We thought it was important for us to talk about it the first time we had it. And as I told Joel a little, anybody Badger Beer Hour viewers know that Chris Strasner does our interview every month. He does a great job at it. He's always getting the people who are making things. But the first interview in Badger Beer Hour was done by me, Doug, not Chris Strasner. I know it's probably hard to believe, but and it was about Ted Mack Sr. And I keep calling him Ted Mack Jr. because I met Ted Mack Jr. in real life, so that's the one I remember. But this guy is amazing. He played a couple of little context points. He played college ball at Ohio State, and he was also in the Air Force too. So
yeah, Korean War veteran. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely decorated.
And he was big. I remember too. He was big, like civil rights activist. He did a lot of organization of organizing buses to DC, a lot of school boycott type stuff. So he was able to do a lot of the civil rights activist stuff while that was all happening prior to him opening up the brewery in Oshkosh.
Yeah. So he wasn't just a brewer. He was he was all over the place. So there. Shout out to Ted Mack Jr., who is still out there, and I've been wanting to get him on the Badger Beer Hour, Joel. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. Doug, you're next. You have somebody who I didn't know of this guy, and you put him on a radar, and I went down a deep dive, and it was really fun.
Same thing. I did a little deep dive on this guy too. This is Matthew Henson. So Matthew Henson was the first African American explorer, Arctic explorer. So listen, you couldn't pay me to go to the Arctic as much as you want. I'd be like, no. So what he did, so there's the guy who was accredited was reaching the North Pole. This was his right-hand man and never got any credit for it. He was a navigator, craftsman, and he would do this stuff where he would just interact with the Inuit people, which were the people who lived there. So this white guy would depend on this black guy to interact with the people who are indigenous to the area. So he and this other guy were the first to reach the geographic North Pole. This took them 18 years and 3 tries. And people in their party died. But him and this other guy managed to finally do it. 1937, before World War II started, he was invited to become a member of the Explorers Club, which was an extraordinarily exclusive thing, and all white people. So this guy just fucking decided, fuck it, I'm going to be cold, and I'm going to go and explore the North Pole. I'm going to be the first person to touch the North Pole. And he went with another guy, and the guy was, of course, because they went, the white guy was the one who claimed it, and he was just like, yeah, I'm along for the ride. So
Doug, is my mic better?
yes.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know what was going on there, but goddamn, that sounds a lot better. So yeah, Greg, that is something I'm glad I put that on your radar, because here's the thing: we can all learn more about people that fall through the cracks of history. This is the guy who did it.
Wow.
The guy who just fucking fell right. I would never in a million years have thought, because we're all told, and this is also some nonsense propaganda that we're told, is that fucking people who are people of color don't like cold. This guy clearly liked it and did some shit and fucking went to the North Pole. Good on him. But if I didn't do some really deep dives on that guy, I wouldn't have known.
Well, we're not here to talk about the gaps that our history unfortunately has not given us, but actually I guess we kind of are. So on this, sure. Well, Joel, yeah, you're muted, Joel, if you're trying to say something, buddy.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's like we kind of are, we're just trying to highlight the gaps. So
absolutely. And here's a gap too, Doug. I think I want to do all STEM Black people this February. That's what I'm trying to do. So this
That's a
guy
great
is
idea.
Guyon Stewart Bluford Jr. He is an aerospace engineer close to my heart because, as y'all know, I was an aspiring aerospace engineer but crashed out of college because of mostly financial reasons. But also, I was partying too much at spring break. But that aside, um, uh, Leon Stewart Bluford is an American aerospace engineer, retired United States Air Force. He's a fighter pilot and he was an NASA astronaut, but he was the first African American to go to space. So that's cool. And Guillaume, am I saying that right, y'all? Guillaume? Guillaume?
I have
What do you
no
say,
idea,
Doug?
but I
Yeah.
who knows?
He's still kicking. He's still around. He's I think 87 years old. So shout out to him, but he is part of living Black history. So good on him. Doug and I talked about this when we started last year. We wanted to do living people and people who are past us because there's a lot of living Black folks that are literally making history now. I think last year one of mine was Simone Biles, and she's still out there affecting football games like Taylor Swift. So everything's good. Everything's it's all good. It's all good. So yeah, one last look at him. Thank you, Joel, for bringing up Theodore Max Sr. We'll probably bring him up next week on Badger Beer Hour.
Yeah.
The first Badger Beer Hour has an extensive conversation between me and John Harry, who was one of Wisconsin's premier, I love using that word, historians, beer historians. He's very, very knowledgeable. He's been on Badger Beer Hour twice. I would love to have him here. He's just a busy man. But if I can ever get him, me and him are actually talking about we were actually talking about a project at one point, but his other life things.
Okay, how many projects do you need, dude? You have 18 projects. Fucking slow down.
But I try to have 30, Doug. I'm trying for 30.
30 for 30.
Cheers to that. But yeah, I don't know, Doug. I need to settle down and just really work on the ones that I have that I love, which is this one. And y'all will have a full dose of this, whether you've seen Badger Beer Hour or not. I can't
wait to watch that.
Next week we're gonna have that. But the best part about this one is, y'all, is that like it's gonna be Badger Beer Hour, but it's gonna be my Badger Beer Hour friends doing this silly, crazy nonsense. So y'all usually see us delivery news and being formal, and that's good for Badger Beer Hour. But we're gonna get Joel even more messier, hopefully, that next week as a host than he is even this week. We had to introduce you to Joel this week, and then next week we can dive into the mess. Because I heard Joel was doing some crazy things at college. So now that I know this, Doug, I'm going to use it against him at some point. So we all know this is how we roll here. It's all good. But with that being said, y'all, Doug, unless you have something else, I think we're going to get some final words here from Joel. And like I said, we'll see Joel next week. And then we'll see him upcoming on every Badger Beer Hour possible. So that's going to be fun. And yeah, Doug, real quick though, like, I don't know how many Badger Beer Hours you saw, but like at the end of last year, it was just Landon and I holding down the fort because Chris was on hiatus.
Yeah, I know Chris was on hiatus. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Brandon and I did the heavy lifting and it was good. Or Landon, I'm sorry.
That was great.
And I did the heavy lifting, but it was, and it was still good. And hopefully we did a good product, but it would have been, easier with a third person like Joel that could, because I like to really be versatile with the show and have different people open and different people presenting. So Joel being able to deliver that is going to be awesome for us. Again, Badger Beer Hour is only going to expand and get better. So if y'all a fan of it, if not, tell someone in Wisconsin. We still covering beer and we love it and we're passionate about it, and that's it. So on that note, Doug is trying to say something to me. Joel, I want to give Joel one last point because next week's going to be messy and crazy, and there's going to be all kinds of people on stage. And I don't know how much Joel's going to get time. This is his one-on-one time with us. So, Joel, if there's anything that we didn't, can you tell everybody, like, one thing we didn't get into, Joel, really is we talked about all the breweries you've been to. We talked about, you do a lot of stuff on X. Two questions. Number one, Is X the primary place to find everything about Joel? And then number 2, talk about your podcast, because we really didn't talk about it. There was a hint that I was on it. And then, because I think the podcast is the backbone of Brewery Travels, right? Or,
Yeah, for a while it was.
To get in all that. Get in all that.
Yeah, so yeah, I would say I'm the most active on. I still don't call it X. I'm sorry, it's Twitter. But you can find me there at Brewery Travels, and then I also post all my brewery visits and other stuff about on Instagram at brewery_travels. Someone already had my username, so I had to throw an underscore in there. And then if you go to my website, thebrewerytravels.com, that's where you can find articles that I've written, links to the podcast, all my maps and statistics, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, the podcast, I've done a whole bunch of episodes of all basically talking about beer scenes all over the country with people that are experts in those beer scenes, whether it's beer journalists, beer writers, authors, beer bloggers, brewery owners, occasionally beer tour people, whatever the case may be, talking about the beer scenes all over the country and what makes them unique. So that was a lot of fun to be able to do, just showcasing all the different places. Right there. There's the website, brewerytravels.com, and you'll find links to the social media too if you're having a hard time finding me. But it shouldn't be that hard. You can kind of see a little bit of the behind us there. That's my logo. If you're seeing that logo, you're in the right place. On Twitter and Instagram. Yep, there it is. So yeah, that would be kind of the general information, I guess, on where to find me, how to find me, and all that kind of stuff. If you ever want recommendations on a place, like I said, people are always reaching out, so I'm always happy to do that. Like I said, I keep pretty diligent records, so I've got a pretty good grasp on. And the good part is, if I don't have personal recommendations for you, I can almost guarantee that I will know someone that can give you personal recommendations at this point. So it's all about building that network. And, if you don't know the answer, hopefully, you know someone that does. That's kind of what I've gone to do. So, but yeah, I like you said, I'm very much looking forward to joining Badger Beer Hour, starting to become part of that. And like I said, I've had a very national kind of outlook on my things, each year, kind of doing my awards for my best different all sorts of stuff, and now being able to focus in on the Wisconsin beer scene is going to be an exciting new kind of step for me. So
awesome. I'm glad you're excited. So this is the part of the stream that we do this, right, Doug? Whatever this is. Yeah,
whatever this is. Maybe
when I get there, we'll do it.
All right.
Microwave beer again.
Look at that. 4 of them. All right, Greg.
The hop water was good. I liked it. Try it. This Southside thing was solid. It was pretty good. I liked it. Venture Brewing, everything they do is amazing. So that speaks for that. The Squeeze Crush was not great. Maybe it was long in the tooth. I would like to say it was long in the tooth from the brewing project there. So I would, Squeeze and Crush. I would say try it if you're there. If you're IPA fan, I would say try it. It's probably a little long in the tooth though. I didn't enjoy it. You got to watch those IPAs, guys. They're really finicky. But I had a good time tonight. It was a good time for beer, and I had a nice little mix because non-alcoholic, and then I had it was like a little cocktail. So that was all good. I liked it. Good times. Joel.
So again, I had the two things. I had the Vivo Pills, and I had the Nocti Mexican Dark Lager from Lakefront. Oh, and the Vivo Pills was Eagle Park. I really enjoyed both of them. I would give, if I had to pick just one, I guess I would go with the Mexican Dark Lager. But again, so much of the time with dark lager versus light lager, it really just depends what you're in the mood for. Kind of similar to I know Doug had all the stouts tonight. It just depends what you're feeling that particular night. If you want to crush a couple and you're just drinking several, then probably the dry hop Italian Pilsner is the way to go. But if you're just kind of sipping and enjoying your night, You know, it's not that it's high ABV or anything, but, you know, the Mexican dark lager is going to have a little more roasty notes, a little more body to it. So that would be how I would land. But yeah, I would rate them both well. They were both very good beers.
Yeah. All right, man. So here goes me. Stout season. All right. So let me clarify. None of these are bad. None of them. Lunar King was good. Good. The other two beers I have are degrees better. The Blackout Stout from Great Lakes was my next favorite. That was really good. It's just it's a standard, straight up good barrel aged stout because Great Lakes makes it. This goddamn thing. This 2.5-year-old Four Roses barrel aged imperial, or just regular stout. It wasn't even imperial stout. This was awesome. This was so goddamn good. Here's the thing. I will tell you, Joel, I tend to put things in my cellar fridge, sometimes have adjuncts. And the adjuncts always fall off, and I'm always disappointed. This, not disappointing. This was phenomenal. Yeah. So that's what I had.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, Joel. So this is the time we let you go, but we'll say that Doug and I will be ending the stream within 3 minutes of letting you go. So if you would like to stick around for after drinks, you're welcome. If not, obviously I'll probably be talking to you tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'll probably be talking. We will be in touch very shortly for sure.
Yeah, probably, maybe even later. You know how I'm all over the place with my work. When I work on things, it's 24/7. But we want to thank you for joining us. Hopefully, again, this won't be your last time.
No, well, we have to get it. I know you wanted to ask, but we didn't even get into like rankings, like favorite breweries and favorite beer cities, so that we gotta.
I know. So we
gotta
have
get
to
into
do that.
all of that. So I have to come back, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because here's the thing: I have not traveled enough to learn where I need to go, and I want to do that.
They were both like I had. The first one was the Vivo Pils. It's a dry hopped Italian Pilsner from Eagle Park Brewing here in, technically Muskego. They also have a brewery in Milwaukee. And then another Milwaukee brewery, Lakefront Brewery. Their Mexican dark lager here. You can see here, just very classic. If you like dark lagers, it'll be right up your alley. So, yeah, it was, both very good beers. Like I said, just depends what you're in the mood for.
Jonathan welcomes you.
Absolutely.
Manny, I think, welcomes you. Something. All right, Joel. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Stick around if you want. If not, I'll talk to you soon. We'll see you next week for sure. Y'all will see Joel next week. Y'all won't.
Thank you, Joel.
Next week.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Joel. Peace. So, yeah. Doug, you have a week off, my friend. Reflect on that.
Okay, I reflected. Thank you.
Okay. Lorenzo says everybody seems easy and funny. And wait, who?
Anything funny? Okay, that was Lorenzo. Yeah. And, hey, listen, Lorenzo. Thanks for joining us. I don't know if that was something you were friends with our guy, but thank you for joining us. That was fun.
I agree with this though more.
That's basically us for sure.
So we're not all that in a pop cup, Doug?
No.
It's just a little cup of whipped cream.
So I need to do later.
Why won't you give me a pup cup?
Because we do not do pup cups at this establishment.
Bullshit. Came here yesterday and got a pup cup.
Somebody hand me the phone, please. Call the police.
She's calling the police because I want a pup cup?
That was the whitest response. He's calling the police because I want a pup cup. Like just a pup cup. The way they said it was just like that. Was
Let's see what the police have to say because a person wants a pup cup.
Oy vey. All right, man.
So okay, we have the video game with a turntable. Yes, yes. Manny needs it for his cereal. Let's see. It looks like Lorenzo's looking forward to going to Yingling Brewery. I would love to go to Yingling Brewery. Actually, I've never been there. I know the beer. I'm not a fan of the beer. It's not about that, Doug. It's about beer history and all that shit.
Not the beer. Not the beer. It's the fact that their owner is a giant trupper guy.
He's a yeah. I mean,
but if you want history, I totally get that. Go do it.
I would ignore it for that. Doug, what's Doug to do with himself?
I don't know. I'll hang with my wife.
Wait, JC, what's the problem here?
She's calling the police because I want a pup cup.
All right, y'all. Doug, we'll see you in 2 weeks with I think Matt and Laurel from Hop Geek News. I think
you're right.
Or is that when? Hold on. Or is it when I'm not going to be on the screen?
No. I think you're right. I think.
Oh, yeah. It's Lauren and Matt. Yep. From Hop Geeks News, and they are at a geeky convention right now in Florida. So at Epcot. So we'll be able to talk to them about that, and we'll be able to geek. Doug, you'll be able to geek the fuck out with these people. They know comic books, movies. They're all over the place. So that's gonna be fun. Look, a motherfucking pup cup. Like, y'all ain't taking the man seriously. He wants his pup cup. His dog needs a pup cup. And Doug can say it's the most whitest thing ever. And again, I'll let Doug's words speak for themselves. But the man wants a pup cup. Like, what?
She's calling the police because I want a pup cup.
Yeah. Actually, I want to try the Youngling. I don't think I've ever had the Youngling Porter, though.
Youngling Porter is a good porter. It's a solid porter. It's not great.
Right. So, right. And I don't know. I understand your point, though, Doug. I'm not going
to do it's worth it to try. I'm just saying, like, for me, I'm only speaking for me. I will not solicit their beer because of their stances.
Agreed. And let's end on a good note. Tell us what you bought this week, please. When it comes to beer. Yeah.
Oh, I bought a lot of stuff.
No. You bought something for a beer event.
Oh, I bought a VIP ticket for fucking Barrel and Flow. Folks, please, if you can, and if you can find it in your heart or in your wallet, to go support Black brewers at Barrel and Flow. Greg and I generally go to this every year, where we have I usually get the VIP ticket, which I did this year because it's something where you get in early. You can actually talk to brewers. You can do a lot of different stuff. You get to meet brewers one-on-one early. That's not a requirement, but if it's something where you just want 70, I think there's like 75 brewers there. It's fucking crazy. And just you're supporting Black-owned breweries. And there's not a lot of Black-owned breweries in this country. There should be more. This is a way you can support them and try to help grow that. There's also food. There's art. There's a fuck ton of stuff. Just you're supporting folks. Like, look at that fucking picture. That's fucking our Liquid Intrusion. That's goddamn Crowns and Hops. Yeah, we need to have the goddamn Liquid Intrusion, folks. Rod just hung out with Jasmine today to buy beer.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, really?
yeah, he hung out with Jasmine to go get some liquid intrusion beer. Like, I'm just telling you, like, go get some good shit. There's a fuck ton of good beer there. There's the awesome food. Yeah. JHG, if you can figure it out. And yeah, Rod, thanks for doing that. And I was so happy to
But-
see that because Jasmine and Drew are just fucking great fucking people.
Absolutely. We can literally we can call them friends. Those are our friends for sure. Love Jasmine and Drew. Love them, love them. We'll see her in June a couple weeks again. Look at that.
Yeah. Rod, are you going to Barrel and Flow? Because God damn it,
Mhm.
hey, guess what, Greg? I saw that Afro Beer Chick said she was buying a ticket.
She did
And
last year too, though. So
she
but
did.
anyway.
But yeah, she got kind of screwed over on that. But like,
I got it. I'm just saying, though. I'm just be reserved here. I'm not, I'm not saying anything. Obviously, that's where I met Afro Beer Chick. So I ain't even trying to. I'm not even trying to start any shit.
Yeah, I would totally love to hang with her because she's the best. So yeah,
You already know. But Doug,
yeah.
one last thing, and then we'll get out of here. Since you won't be here next week, you do have to talk about. Actually, it doesn't matter because it's coming up this week. Actually, you do have to talk about this.
Yes. So this coming Wednesday, the Cult Bar, we're doing a bit of a different thing than we normally do with this show. The Cult Bar normally is us talking about a docu-series, and Renee and I just kind of go over this. This time we're doing a podcast as opposed to a docu-series. We warned them as a podcast that you can get on all your podcast apps. So this time we're having an interview with the person who is one of the co-producers and co-executive producers of that podcast. And I believe either she or one of her close friends was part of the cult that was involved. So we are doing something a little bit different. We're having someone who will be interviewed during the show to talk about their experience. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be different. We normally don't do this. And I'm excited to see how this goes because I'm used to doing for those of you who don't know, the cult bar is very straight. Oh, well, this is about child trafficking, JHG. So yeah, it's not great. It's a hard listen. It's a hard listen. But We Warn Them is a nonprofit that is put together to try to combat cult child sex trafficking stuff. And so this is the first season that they've done, and we are going to be covering it. So yeah, and Renee and I are interested to see how this goes. It's not our normal style, but I'm really looking forward to trying to delve into this some. So yeah.
And that's this Wednesday, the Cold Bar, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and it doesn't say it there, but that's what it is, y'all.
Yep.
On most of this, follow the Cold Bar. You can find out where it is. It's on many of the Daddy Putter streams, but not all. But and there's also a Facebook group that y'all need to look into too. So
yep,
you can Google all those; it'll come up. Somehow we have good SEO, and that wasn't either of us. It just happened magically. So Rod says that a funny thing I saw now is the 10th this year. He may be able to go. So that's great.
Oh, Rod, awesome.
5 hours away.
Lorenzo, man, if you can go, dude, we'd love to. We'd love to meet you there, dude.
It's fun. It's fun. So, Doug, on that note, we are out of here. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Enjoy your week off. And enjoy talk. You'll probably be spamming the comments.
I'll be commenting. You know I will.
For sure. But anyway, thank you, Doug, and I'm happy to be back here.
Yeah, me too.
And
dude.
Everything's good, and y'all have a great weekend. Stay warm, stay cold, or keep the beer cold. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good.